Using humor in SEO content for B2B blogs. Why most B2B SEO content feels lifeless and why that's a problem. Most B2B blog content reads like it was approved by a committee of robots, attorneys, and a spreadsheet. The irony is that the same executives you're trying to reach are humans who laugh at memes, forward funny posts to coworkers, and remember brands that make them feel something. If your SEO content is technically correct but emotionally forgettable, you are leaving attention, engagement, and pipeline on the table. The data makes it hard to argue with. 91% of people globally say they prefer brands to be funny, and 69% say they'd open brand emails more often if subject lines were funnier. That matters in B2B because your blog doesn't live in isolation. It gets repurposed in nurture, outbound, and follow-up emails where opens and clicks directly impact meetings booked. Humor in B2B SEO isn't about turning your resource center into a comedy club. It's about earning an extra moment of attention right where readers typically bounce. The intro, the transition, the dense explanation, the one more section they were about to skip. Done well, it makes your expertise easier to consume and your brand easier to remember. Humor is a performance lever, not a brand gimmick. B2B decision makers aren't too serious for humor, they're just under pressure. In a LinkedIn and Magna study, 64% of business decision makers said B2B ads rarely include humor, yet creative ads drove a 40% higher likelihood of purchase consideration. The takeaway for SEO teams is straightforward. Most competitors are playing it safe, so a controlled dose of personality is a real differentiator. Research is increasingly aligned on this point. A 2025 Journal of Business Research paper reported that over 70% of surveyed B2B buyers viewed humor in B2B ads as effective, and it improved attitudes toward both the ad and the brand, increasing intent to seek more information. If humor can move a buyer from ignore to learn more, it can absolutely help an SEO article move from skim and leave to read and trust. We also know that the fundamentals of B2B content still matter. Roughly 82% of B2B marketers use content marketing, and long-form content, 2,000 plus words, drives about 55% more inbound leads than short form. Humor doesn't replace depth. It helps your best long-form pages actually get read, shared, and remembered. The rule: start with search intent, then add humor as a pattern interrupt. Our best framework is simple. Treat humor as a pattern interrupt, not the main event. Start every SEO article by making the keyword, the buyer pain point, and the expected outcome crystal clear in the first few lines. Only after the reader feels, "I'm in the right place," should you layer in humor to keep them moving through the page. That means your jokes should work like good examples. They clarify the problem, exaggerate a shared pain point, or make a technical concept easier to remember. The safest sources are the realities your buyers already live with: messy CRM data, long buying committees, internal handoffs, and the meeting that could have been a Slack message. When the humor sounds like the prospect's world, it builds credibility instead of undermining it. A practical guardrail is the 80-20 rule. Keep about 80% of the content straight value and roughly 20% personality and jokes. That ratio gives marketing room to sound human while keeping sales, leadership, and compliance confident that the article still reads like an expert talking shop. How humor supports SEO engagement signals and where to place it. Search engines don't laugh, but they do respond to engagement. If you publish a strong piece and readers spend more time on it, scroll deeper, and click into related pages, you're sending positive signals that the page satisfies intent. Across industries, B2B sites average about 82 seconds time on page, while top content programs typically aim for 2 to 3+ minutes on their most important articles. So even a modest lift in engagement can create real separation. Humor works best at predictable attention dips. The first 150 words, long transitions between sections, dense definitions, and the let's talk process portion where readers often skim. This is where observational humor, light self-deprecation, and we've all been there lines keep people reading without changing the substance of your advice. If you want your team to implement this consistently, audit your top SEO pages and identify the paragraphs where scroll depth drops. Then, rewrite only those segments with clearer language, stronger analogies, and one tasteful joke that reinforces the point. You're not reinventing the post. You're removing the spots where the reader's brain quietly exits the tab. If the joke doesn't reinforce the buyer's pain, the outcome, or your point of view, cut it. Best practices for funny but credible B2B blog writing. The strongest B2B humor is observational and specific. It doesn't rely on edgy punchlines. It relies on recognition, like the universal dread of a quick sync invite with no agenda, or the dashboard that claims your pipeline is fine while your calendar says otherwise. This style lands with VPs of sales, RevOps leaders, and founders because it respects the stakes while acknowledging the absurdity of the process. Self-deprecating stories are a close second because they create trust fast. A short, "we tried this and it backfired" anecdote can make a technical SEO or outbound point feel earned, not lectured. This is especially helpful when you're writing about outbound channels, like how a cold email agency should personalize at scale, because readers have seen too many vendors pretend perfection. Finally, keep tone aligned with buyer risk and deal stage. Top-of-funnel thought leadership, comparisons, and how-to posts can carry more levity. Late-stage content that supports big-budget decisions should be more measured. If you want a simple process, create a one-page humor style guide so writers, SDRs, and reviewers agree on what's allowed and what's off-limits before anything ships. Common mistakes that tank trust and how to avoid them. The most common failure is leading with jokes instead of intent. If a reader searched for sales outsourcing or outsourced sales team and lands on your page, they want clarity immediately. What it is, who it's for, and what outcome they should expect. Start with the answer, then earn the right to add humor once they're anchored. Another avoidable mistake is unrelated humor. A random gag that doesn't connect to the product, the pain point, or the decision context can feel frivolous, especially in complex B2B purchases where careers and budgets are on the line. Anchor every joke in the buyer's daily reality so it deepens understanding instead of distracting from it. The fastest way to create backlash is sarcasm that punches down at prospects or specific roles. If you want to be snarky, aim the joke at the problem, not the person. The broken process, the clunky tool, the Frankenstack of systems, not the buyer's intelligence. And operationally, don't let marketing do this in a vacuum. Build a simple review loop where one SDR, one AE, and, when needed, compliance sanity check the tone before publishing. Turning humorous SEO content into sales assets for SDR and outbound teams. Humorous SEO content becomes especially valuable when it's usable by sales. If your team is running outbound, whether through an SDR agency, a sales development agency, or an in-house team, the best articles are the ones reps actually want to share. A smart, funny line that captures a real pain point can turn a cold follow-up into a human conversation starter. This matters because email is still a primary acquisition lever. About 44% of B2B marketers rank email as their top lead generation channel, and personalized campaigns outperform generic ones by about 26% in conversion rate. A funny but insightful blog link gives your reps an easy personalization angle that doesn't require inventing small talk, whether they're doing LinkedIn outreach services, working with a cold email agency, or supporting a broader outbound sales agency motion. If you want to operationalize this, don't ask SDRs to be funnier on the fly. Pull 3 to 5 short snippets from high-performing blog posts and turn them into approved openers and PS lines that link back to the article. This is especially effective for teams offering cold calling services or positioning as a cold calling agency, because the content can warm up skeptical prospects before a call ever happens. How to test, measure, and scale humor without guesswork. Humor shouldn't be decided by internal taste. It should be tested like any other conversion lever. Ship controlled experiments. Publish 2 versions of an intro, test 2 subject lines, or pilot a subset of posts that include light humor and compare them against your baseline. If humor is working, you should see it in engagement time, scroll depth, internal clicks, and content-assisted conversions, not just Slack reactions. Use benchmarks to keep the team honest, then set a clear target. If your current articles average around 82 seconds time on page, aim to push priority pages into the 2 to 3 minute range through better hooks, tighter structure, and humor placed at attention dips. After 60 to 90 days, review rankings, assisted opportunities, and which posts are being shared by SDRs and AEs in real conversations. When you need to compare performance, a simple table keeps stakeholders aligned on what winning means and prevents tone debates from becoming personal opinions.